Today we're at Gentiana Nursery and we're taking a close look at ornamental grasses. Here's Craig Wilson to tell us all about them.
So this one's Pennisetum orientale. It's a deciduous grass, flowering mid to midsummer right through autumn. It would get 50 centimetres high and a metre wide perhaps, and it resents as a division. You need to divide it in spring as it's resurfacing, and don't try and get too many small pieces.
And care?
There is no care.
So
It grows in the sun. It doesn't, well, here it doesn't require any irrigation. That it may need a bit in drier climates.
So it dives right back in.
It goes right down in the winter.
So just clean up the old foliage and
That's right.
that's it. Do you fertilise it much?
No.
So easy care plant.
Yeah. If you can find it. Its resentment of division makes it difficult for nurserymen to propagate, so it's not often seen in the nurseries. So this is Miscanthus Eileen Quinn. So it's one of the smaller Miscanthus with a plain green leaf, summer into autumn flowering, nice with maples. It's about a good height for them. Hakonechloa macra, Japanese forest grass. Most people would be familiar with the variegated, but this is just the plain leafed form, and it would grow to 60, 70 centimetres and slowly spreads. And again, it's herbaceous, so it goes down in the winter.
The difference between this and the yellow foliage one?
I think that this one would take a bit more sun than the gold-leafed one, but it's getting a little bit too much sun here, as you can see by the leaf colour.
So it'd be a good plant for afternoon shades?
Semi-shade, yeah.
So you could plant it underneath deciduous trees, that sort of thing?
Yep. Heavy metal, so it's a nice silver-leaf form of the prairie grass from the United States. Herbaceous, long flowering season, from summer right through to the end of autumn, and again it goes down in the winter, and I tend to leave it and cut it back in the spring because the dead foliage in the winter is quite appealing. An evergreen grass from New Zealand. It's Chionochloa flavens, I think is the name. So it's the high altitude toweri. The standard one's much bigger. So this is an evergreen. The flowers come out a really pale green and then fade to this oak colour. And these clumps have only been here for a year or two, so they're not flowering very heavily yet. That'll come with time. Hakonechloa macra aurea, the gold-leafed form of the forest grass. Doesn't seem to grow quite so tall and needs a little bit of shade, like most gold-leaf plants do. And Imperata cylindrica rubra, which is Japanese blood grass. It's again a herbaceous grass, so it goes right down in the winter and gets these red tips. It needs a bit of moisture and a bit of sun to get the colour in the leaf. Carex oshimensis, it's a variegated form of it. It needs shade, and it'll grow in quite heavy shade. Doesn't spread, makes a clump, I would say 30 centimetres tall by half a metre wide.
It's got a really nice sort of weeping habit too. So excellent along a pathway like this.
This is a Carex. It was in the garden when we moved here. I have no idea what the cultivar is, but it's a good one. It's slow. It's got a much broader leaf than oshimensis, and it seems not to get that mat of dead foliage underneath it.
So this was probably maybe planted by Lois Lucas?
Yeah, it would have been planted by Lois Lucas, without a doubt.
Okay, we'll see if we can find out what it is.
Yeah. So this is Carex oshimensis, the species. And I actually got it as a reversion from the variegated form. And again, it's good in the shade. It clumps, it doesn't spread. Perhaps gets a little bit taller than the variegated one, I would say about 40 centimetres, 50 centimetres, with a half metre spread, and it flowers in the spring. Flowers are quite showy.
Any maintenance on this one?
Not really, no, I don't do anything to it.
So you don't worry about cutting it back or?
No, just sits there looking like that. So this is Miscanthus transmorrisonensis. I think that's right. So the advantage of this Miscanthus over some of the others is the height at which the flowers are held above the foliage. Makes it very showy.
And you've got that sitting in front of fuchsia.
Yeah, some sort of old fuchsia hybrid that the birds love.
Adds a nice little bit of contrast.
So this is the Australian, or one of the Australian poas. Very small grass, 20 centimetres. And nice blue foliage.
And this one
Tough as old boots. Don't know what the one next door is. See, there's two species there.
Okay, so this is a greener
Poa, without a doubt.
So it's a greener, more of a greener foliage.
Yeah, and finer leaf, isn't it?
It is. There's probably a lot of poas though.
Yeah, I'm sure there is. So this one's had a name change, and I'm not really familiar with the new name yet, but for me I call it Austrostipa stipoides. And it will grow in quite a lot of shade. At New Zealand and Australia it's native to. And over the winter months the leaves take on a sort of bronze hue. And it has these massive flowers now. There's Miscanthus falling water, which is, I think it's pretty clear what it's named for. The angler that holds its flowers, that's beautiful. And again, it flowers quite a long way above the foliage.
So this is one of your favourites?
Yeah, look at it. Well, I've only had it for a couple of years, but it's up there. I think it has huge potential.
So falling waters.
Falling water, yeah. So the Miscanthus nepalens, so it's a different species of Miscanthus. Most of the Miscanthus hybrids are sinensis. This is the Nepalese one. Perhaps wants a little more water than the other ones, a little bit damper. Again, it's herbaceous, goes down in the winter, and a late summer, autumn flowering.
These are really quite a nice golden colour.
Yeah, it's a beautiful grass, isn't it?
So they start off like this and then
The age to that oat colour.
really very attractive.
Yeah. Uncinea uncinata rubra. So it's a New Zealand grass that grows along the edge of streams and the forests. So it wants a bit of shade and some moisture. And in the winter the leaves go really red, like bright red.
Stipa gigantea.
That's Chatto's form. So it's you need to put it in the garden and then just leave it alone, because it gradually builds in terms of the number of flower spikes it has. And if you disturb it, it'll stop again for a couple of years.
So Miscanthus sinensis cerebund. Sort of got a bit of a weeping habit.
Yeah, it makes a dome from, you know what I mean, from ground to ground.
Yeah. So Calamagrostis Karl Foerster. Fairly upright, but still great colour in here. So although it's sort of got great foliage with the variegation, as the clumps age, this one tends to open up in the middle and fall over. So you have to be prepared for that. So but the young, small clumps are all right.
All right for a year or two.
So probably not one of the best cultivars, even though the foliage is great.
So this is Miscanthus Kleine Fontaine, which is one of the smaller Miscanthus. So when I say smaller, I mean the smaller sinensis hybrids, which is why I grow it, because it's not so huge. So again, it's herbaceous, late summer, autumn flowering, and you cut it back in the spring when it starts to reshoot. I just do it with the battery hedging shears.
So we're growing this here in the centre of the border.
Yeah.
So
Well, it's a big wide border, so there's the grass that divides it into two, so that you can then mix the perennials in with it.
So you can use the ornamental grasses in a lot of different ways.
In many different ways. Yeah.
So in the border is a divider or a filler, if you like.
That's right.
And
You can use them to highlight things. They really go nicely with Japanese maples.
Yep.
They go nicely with conifers.
And then we've got some that cope really well with shade and others that like full sun.
That's right. Some are drought tolerant, some want moisture.
And really, I guess this is just the tip of ornamental grasses, because you've got all of the Australian ones, if you like,
That's right.
and then you've got all the little low-growing ones.
Yep.
There's quite a lot. So
Huge range of them. And look, a lot of people use them these days in mass planting. Monocot monotony.
For more information on a whole range of ground cover plants, flowering plants, fruit trees, how to grow vegetables, in fact everything to do with gardening, subscribe to the YouTube channel for regular updates, and as always, good luck with your gardening.